So we're going to start off with any questions that you might have in regards to inclusion of the students right now.
I'm okay. I think they'll just come up as we go through the students and what knows.
Okay.
Again, yeah.
Awesome. So we're going to start with PCR.
Okay.
I want to start with Abigail.
Okay.
Progress. Give me one progress, one victory, one concern.
Okay. Progress. Today we did posters, so they worked in groups, and she did really well with her group. And like really, she's like, "Can we do a cake?" So she brought something relevant to her life to relate it to the activity, and she did really cool. So that was cool to see, like bringing us something and like being able to take the knowledge and apply it in her own way. So that was really cool.
Awesome. In regards to maybe her reading goal, is she able to analyze by connecting or clarifying main ideas yet? Have you seen any of that in your classroom?
I think she's still struggling a little bit in terms of reading, but she does a really good job for advocating for herself. So asking for help, so I can like help her clarify that main idea.
Okay.
So she still needs that extra like support. So.
Awesome. Have you seen any of her writing samples?
Yes, so she still struggles at times to write complete sentences, so I have to remind her to use the sentence stems, but she's very like responsive, and so when I say like today we were doing the do now and they had to justify their true or false answer, why they put the answer, and she started with because, and I was like, oh, remember what was it? She was, oh, okay, and then she added the 2 words before it, so just a reminding her to use complete sentences, I think, is still, she still needs to work on that.
Okay, cool. So one thing I heard you say was using the sentence stems, just for feature interventions or feature accommodations that we're going to implement. We will continue to use the sentence stems with her, also with frames. What else have you seen successful from her accommodations or from interventions that you tried?
Frequent checks for understanding. So I always check in with her during the do now or any activity we're doing. I would kind of walk her through. I walk through the different students at our table.
Okay.
Peer models, so someone who's there to kind of help support her when she doesn't understand what's going on. Positive reinforcement works really well for her, especially when you check in with her and then, you know, she feels more confident answering the question, and then positively, like giving her praise, she's more inclined to like respond after.
Awesome. Let's go ahead and move on to Candelaria.
Okay. So for her, it's a use of progress, correct? Like
Yeah, I want to see victory, progress, concern.
Okay. Let's see, in terms of progress, she's done pretty good at, I feel like, formulating her sentences. Like when I like look over her work in terms of, they did an irrigation ad earlier this week and it seemed it flowed. I think she needs some help in terms of the text evidence, just the reminders. The reminders to actually use it, even though it's there in the success criteria. I don't know if she's always using it. Those are the 2.
Awesome. Have you done any arguments in your classroom?
Yes, well, we developed which civilization features would be most successful, so, and whether they would live closer near a river, and so she didn't participate in that time, but she did write an argument down, so I think it's working with her to be able to get the confidence to share out during a discussion.
Awesome. As far as the argument that she did write, did she use any evidence or reasoning behind why she chose a specific argument?
So the way I had it scaffolded for her and the students was so they could actually fill in evidence from there. So when I did, she was able to do that.
Awesome.
So with the support and the graphic organizer, she was able to do it.
Any future interventions that you want to try with her?
I think just keep checking in, because she's a quiet student, so sometimes I just want to make sure she doesn't go under my radar, so just checking in. And I think, I remember talking to you previously that she does help from like being small group and listening to that.
Yeah.
So I want to continue like repeating directions, whether it's a test or checking in with her, so she can utilize the material more effectively.
So anything else you want to add?
That's it for now.
Okay. We can go ahead and go on to Andrew Bonnell.
Okay. Success. He does a great job of participating in class and just feeling very confident, like in his answers and sharing out. So I think it's really cool to see that from him. And he does well with positive reinforcement. So like when he does get the answer and you say, "Oh, great job, Andrew," he's more inclined to again share out afterwards and other questions as well. And he brings in great connections. What connection did he make? the other day. We were talking about ziggurats, and he was like,
Mhm.
"Oh, it sounds like this, and it'll help me remember this way." I forget what
Oh, that's
exactly it
cool.
was, but it was a cool connection he made.
It was in
Terms
your
of-
zigga.
Ziggurats, yeah.
Cool. As far as being able to communicate clearly when he's frustrated, how have you seen that? I know we've seen some frustration in your classroom when working in the small groups. What has he done or what have you implemented for him?
So he still struggles in terms of when it seems like he gets like overwhelmed a little bit, like with too much direction or too much right. So what I've done is like either chunk the directions or had him, what I've taught some of the kids to do is do the birthday cake blowout, like where they take a deep breath in and blow out like a birthday cake.
Right.
And so I've done that with him, and that seemed to help him. And I think it's just chunking and like taking deep breaths in. So I think that's kind of, but I think we need, I would need at least a little bit more strategies on how to help with him, because sometimes I don't want him to get overwhelmed and how to deal with that.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, I think something that I've seen work very well with him has been the small breaks. The thing is that most of the time it has to be the teacher letting him know he has to take the break. What I want him to do is start asking for the break himself.
Okay.
So I need him to acknowledge when he's becoming frustrated because he hasn't acknowledged it in the past.
Yeah.
So I think,
like self-monitoring?
Yes.
Okay.
So I think just letting him know, I think the birthday cake blowout is a great idea. Just having him do that, the strategy in the classroom by himself. But also, if he still experiences more frustration, ask him to take a 2-minute water break.
Okay.
And then have him come back, and then have a conversation with him and let him know if you are feeling stressed out, if you are feeling frustrated, overwhelmed, just give me the water break sign and I'll let you go. Okay. So I really want him to start taking ownership of that, because then he starts shutting down if he doesn't feel supported or feel like he has that break or control over the situation.
Yeah. Can we give him like another symbol to do like that he needs a break, just so that the other kids, especially with that cohort, would be like, why did he not? Because it's, their cohort is specific, so I can even talk to him about that. If that, just something he can signal or something. I just want to be aware, because I just want to be sensitive, because I just know how that cohort is, and I wouldn't want them to become.
It's easy, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think talk to him about it. I can give you a signal that we've done with other students, and that has just been like when they put their finger here, it's like they need to go out.
Okay. Yeah, see, that sounds fun. I like that.
Yeah, like he just goes side, to you, and is like, hey, like I need to go out for a break. But talk to him, and maybe he'll want to create one of his own symbols. I know he likes like the whole superhero theme and the Super Mario thing, so I'm sure like he'll want to do something in regards to that, or the Pokemon thing. I know his mom said he was like into Pokemon right now.
Okay.
I don't know. Maybe that might also help with like creating. True.
He's like, all right, what?
Yeah. It might help with him, like building rapport with him in the classroom.
Okay.
Cool. Let's go ahead. Wait. Any future interventions that you might want to try with him?
I guess when we were talking about it, just implementing that signal, so that giving him more breaks, and so he won't get frustrated or overwhelmed.
I'll copy that over. Great. Let's go ahead and go on to Jose. How's Jose doing?
Good. Oh, I love Jose. He's a sweetheart.
He's very sweet.
He does a great job of advocating for himself. He was absent yesterday, and he's like, Miss, I forgot to turn in my homework. But I was like, oh, you weren't here. And he's like, I know. But so he's like very self-aware, I think, and like really does well at seeking out help. He does in the do now. It takes him some time to like process to do things, but like when I check in with him, he's like, okay, I got it, Miss, I got it. So I don't know. He very self-motivated and just overall like a pleasure to have in class. He's cool. In terms of like progress that he's made, let's see here. He has volunteered to read out loud to the class, or when we've done small groups, like when I pulled them this week, we had like reading stations, and I pulled their group to read with me. They each took turns, and he was fine able to read it. There were some words that he had to kind of trumped over, so it's the fluency, right, of it. But it is like getting better. So.
Awesome. That touches on his reading goal, which is working on the accuracy and fluency to support his comprehension. What about his writing? Have you seen capitalization, punctuation, spelling when he's writing?
I think that's something he still needs to work on. Because I remember they were doing the Mad Minute the other day, and he didn't put a capital, and he's like, Miss, but I spelled it right. I'm like, I know, but you didn't capitalize. So just holding them accountable for capitalizing all around, and that's something I do with the Mad Minute. And so, yeah, just reminding him about that.
Awesome. Anytime you see any of those work samples, if you can make a copy for me, or just take a picture and send it to me, just
Okay.
so I can have it in his folder for him.
Okay.
You mentioned advocating for himself, which is awesome. That's his vocational goal this year, so that
Cool.
makes me happy. Let's go ahead and move over to CSULA. We'll start with Jason.
Alright, some progress we've seen. I know he likes to participate a lot, engage within his groups. I think something that, in terms of like his progress, like his reading goals and stuff, he likes to read out loud, so he has been and he can pull the main idea. From the times I've seen him and checked in, like he can pull the main idea. And on his quiz, I forgot to tell you, he did really well. Like,
oh, awesome.
I think maybe a 9 out of 10. See that? And he
That's
was by himself.
amazing.
He didn't get pulled. So I thought that was really cool, good of him. I haven't graded the written work yet.
Okay.
But he did well on the terms of the multiple choice.
Okay. Have we seen the quiz scores for the other students?
I haven't. I'm gonna look over them this week.
Yeah. Okay.
I just happened because I was scanning his and it popped up. I was like,
Right.
oh,
That's awesome.
So it was really cool to see that.
As far as being able to implement graphic organizers for his writing to be able to help support him with creating the introduction paragraph, the body paragraph, and the conclusion, how has that been going?
I haven't done writing as like that, but I have done the other, like in terms of doing a paragraph and how to structure like an argument with text evidence. And he has been able to do that. Maybe not as detailed as he could, so I think supporting him and showing him like models of what that looks like, I think would help him be successful. Because it's more like, okay, miss, I got this done, you know?
Yeah. Awesome. Any interventions that you want to continue trying with him or that you might need more suggestions with?
I think the small group works, Miss Paniagua, when she was in there for the reading station, she worked with his group.
Okay.
So that helped him. I know she was checking in and working through the readings with them. He has preferential seating. He sits on the side front of my class. And yeah, I think those are the good things. And sometimes he'll come in at lunch to like do his homework and stuff before, and I'll like go over concepts and I'll like kind of previewing what we're gonna like, because he'll ask.
One question, I noticed that before he had shortened and modified assignments, do you feel like you've had to modify and shorten any assignments for him?
He's able to get through the do now. As opposed to like other students with IEPs, like he's able to get through it.
Okay, let's go ahead and go on to Sasha.
Okay, Sasha, sweetheart as well. She,
Great vocabulary, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her participation right now is like on fire. Like she just owns it. Like she's just very confident. It's just I've seen from the first few days we saw her that she was very timid and quiet.
Yeah.
She's really come out of her shell in this last month and a half. So that's really cool to see. And just does well with positive reinforcement. Like yesterday we were doing picture challenge and what other activity were we doing? I forget, but it just required a lot of hands like participation. And she was just like, oh, we did the tree map. And she was just like, oh, miss, social class. Like she just knew it. Like it was just cool where I had to be like, okay, I need to see other hands in here. So I think that was really cool because I feel like it wasn't always probably like that. Like it was cool to see that, you know.
Yeah. In regards to the reading goal, she needs to be able to determine the central idea of the text. How do you think she's doing with that?
It takes her a while to read. When I was reading with her in a small group, I had to we had to read it once, and then I would go back and be like, okay, let's focus on one. So if I chunked the information, she was able to do it. But the writing is something that we do, that she still needs to work on. So it's just reminding her to use those sentence stems, remind her to write in complete sentence. Because we would write it, she would just write the one answer, and I'd be like, oh, okay, how do we write? And say, oh, yeah, and she'd write it. But I think it's sometimes, correct me if I'm wrong, but not everything transfers, it seems like.
Right.
It seems like she does half of words or something.
Yes.
And so is that a process? Is it processing?
Yes. Visual processing.
Okay.
So that is one of the things that she struggles with. So her eligibility is specific learning disability in the area of visual processing.
Okay.
And I think it heavily affects her writing. Yeah. And Miss Stamen and I were talking about it earlier today, where instead of writing does, she'll write like DOS, and she'll skip the E, or she'll write like DS, and you can't understand the writing.
No, it's like...
Yeah, and I know she's left-handed, but still, Wednesday during tutoring, I had to bring out just some more paper for her to start like practicing her writing, and I was using paper that I've used, like the raised paper, where she has to stop and use like from the top to the bottom, and this is how we formulate the R, and this is how we formulate the S. So I had to start practicing that with her, and I know she was kind of getting frustrated because she said, I know how to do this, and I said, okay, well, show me. And then she couldn't, and I said, all right, we're gonna start from the beginning, and it's okay. Let's start with the letters, let's start with the words. So I think for her, an intervention that I want to try is having her voice a lot of her answers, which she does already, but giving her less sentences to write.
Okay.
Okay, so if the students are supposed to be writing 4 to 5 sentences, have her just do, 2 to 3 solid sentences.
Okay.
And have her focus more on the actual writing itself than that. Another thing that we were looking into was occupational therapy, because she was mentioning something with her wrist, and then mentioning something with the writing, and then also mentioning just kind of like her motor skills, they were a bit off. So, I mean, I'm not an expert on occupational therapy, nor do I know if like she was qualified, but it's something that I want to look into, maybe getting her assessed, so I will be calling mom for that. I'll add that in there for future interventions. Anything else that you have seen or want to do with her?
That's it. That was my concern, because I was noticing as I was working with her, I think it was like Sandra, Michael, it was like a few of them, and then she was just struggling to like do, but she knew it because she could verbalize it, and so then when I saw on the paper, I'm like, wait, that's not.
But she could read her writing. So I don't know if you noticed that also, like it was supposed to say magnet, and it said like MGNT.
But she knows it.
She would say magnet.
Oh, okay.
And I mean, I had her read everything to me, and she knew it. Like she knew what it said. I told her like I don't understand. And if we switch papers with our peers, or like when we're writing our full essays, like I need you to be able to formulate your letters correctly. So yeah, I'll check in more with her, and I know Miss Damon had more concerns with her.
Okay.
As well, and it just in regards to the writing. Other than that, I mean, she's doing an amazing job in class. We'll go ahead and move on to BU. Let's go ahead and talk about Diego Salcedo.
All right, cool. So he does participate. He has his he's cute. Like he's cute. He has his moments where like he'll be like really on it, and then there's times where he's like, wait. It was like sometimes I think I need to be aware it can be information overload for him, so I think he gets overwhelmed and like spaces out kind of thing. So, but yeah, participation is definitely there. He knows, I know what he's know because I'll do frequent check-ins. Like, oh, this is one of his progresses. Like, I'll check in with him constantly during the do now or during that. And he knows what's going on. So just the main facts of what's going on, which is good. I think in terms of like cohesive paragraphs, I haven't again written like paragraphs yet, but he does like, I don't know if it's the attention or the focus on, he does struggle to like complete his, like he'll do it, but then it takes him a while to like compose it, you know. So I had to pull him like for the quiz. He was just having a hard time, so like, and I had to move on, so I put him to the small table and let him keep working. I just had him choose one of the options, so I modified it for him there because I knew he wasn't gonna get through, and he was able to, but it was just so like, he needs that constant.
Yeah, in closing his IEP last week, I did add small group testing because you did, when I saw you message me about him still like needing more support with it. Yeah.
He was like, I was like,
I know.
You gotta focus, man. But then I was like, do you need a break? And like, whereas opposed to Victor was able to like walk in, he's like, I need water right now, like a focus. And he was, I don't know if that would help him too. I think something I was gonna ask you is like, he's having a hard time getting through all my do nows, and you know, I know sometimes they can be kind of long, but he can't like it. So should I just tell him to focus on like 1 and 2 or the main ones, or how would you suggest, or making a different do now for him? Does he have modified work? I just want to make sure. I know he does economated work as needed, but like, I guess what would that look like for him?
I think
because he's capable. That's the thing. It's just like the focus. Sometimes he just can't.
So one thing that has worked with him when I was in science class was he was able to complete the work when I highlighted specific questions for him.
Okay.
So I said, I need you to complete these. Let's say you have 5 questions. I need you to complete these 3 questions. The highlighted ones, go. And he was able to do those. And then he realized he finished.
And then did the other.
And then he went back and finished the other ones.
Okay.
So I want to leave them all there, just so that we know that we're giving him all the material, and if he can finish it, he will. Yeah. But if not, let's highlight the main ones that he needs to do. Okay. And then of course, like the writing one. I know you always have like a writing question. So I want to make sure that he does the writing question. Okay. So I
So
think
like today's is like a speak like historian some questions, so I'll pull the main 2 questions and then the
Yeah.
speak like a historian.
yeah,
Okay.
and I think also sitting him next to a peer helper, that's one of his accommodations, is like making sure that he has someone there who maybe can say, hey Diego, like did you finish number 2 or did you finish number 3? Just a quick check-in with him, or just saying like, hey Diego, can you check in with Katie and see if she finished, 3, and then that'll hold him accountable for making sure he finished number 3 also.
Okay.
So kind of reversing it and giving him that leadership role, or something that he has to be held accountable for.
Okay. Do you know students he's worked well with in BU? I have him next to Elizabeth, but she's an EL, so I think she also herself is trying to get through the material. So, and I forget who, I think Celeste is on his other side. So maybe I can put, Celeste is pretty strong.
Yeah, I was actually gonna suggest Celeste Martinez, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She sits in the front.
There's Celeste, and there was
I feel like Elizabeth would be good with him, no?
Lisbeth, or
Or
the
she-
other.
Elizabeth
Lisbeth.
Pelayo.
Okay.
But I don't know if she's too like I'm independent and then, but she seems helpful. Like if
No,
I
she
told,
seems helpful.
like
Pelayo?
if I told her like, hey, I need you to really focus in, like she would do it.
Yeah.
Or so.
I think
too.
it's Elia Ayala, also.
Yeah.
I mean, I know she's very quiet, but I think she
She's-
really appreciates that leadership role, and she appreciates helping others.
Yeah.
So if we, pair them together and say like, okay, we want to help you guys, because she also needs support
Yeah.
with certain things, and sometimes I feel like Diego has a little bit higher ability.
Yeah.
But she has
The
more
focus.
focus. So she can help him focus. He can help her with like reading one of the
Okay.
questions, or
Yeah, I have her with
She does.
Giselle right now, and she does well with Giselle.
she does.
Because
Okay, then I don't want to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like Giselle also sometimes I think she's Yale, and like they'll like check in, and I could tell they get like they help each other out. But I
Yeah.
can see how Diego. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe
So
I should
try
have
his
at
best.
the table if I put like get Sally in the middle, Diego here, and then Giselle here.
Yeah.
And then it could be like a combo or something.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah, because then I mean, if she's in the middle, then she can get support if she needs it, but then she can also give him support if
Yeah.
he needs it.
Yeah.
Okay, I mean we can try
Okay,
it
yeah.
and see how it would work. So I'm gonna add that in there. Okay, great. And the last one will be Katie Suarez.
Okay. She's awesome. She's really cool. She likes to participate. She'll ask questions, like clarifying questions as
Mhm.
well. Like, Miss, what do you mean by that? Or like,
Mhm.
so I appreciate the bluntness sometimes
Yeah.
in her, like, because I feel like a question she has, like 5 other kids might have, and I just didn't catch it. So I appreciate that she's brave enough to like vocalize her questions. She, in terms of progress, I've seen her, but I do have to monitor like using sentence starters, so I just have to remind her of that. I do the one-on-one check-ins, that's been helpful for her. And definitely something I think I'd like to do now is chunk the information for her, so that she'll be able to like do things like in the reading, be able to pull out those like compare and contrast
Yeah.
materials that she needs to pull out. Because I know she was struggling, like when we were comparing, contrasting Neolithic versus Paleolithic era, she was still thinking that in Paleolithic we farm. I'm like, wait,
Yes.
we only hunt. So like clarifying that for her,
Yeah.
I think she was so confusing. So I think it's just reminding her and repetition and stuff and using that too.
Any additional things that you want to add for her, as far as like any other interventions? I think she's doing well. I think what you mentioned already is.
Yeah. I
pretty
think
good.
she could, you didn't have her for pull-out, small group testing?
I didn't. What do you think?
I don't think I don't know, I'll look at her test, but I know like it was hard for her to like,
She has small group testing
okay.
now. I added a lot for the students just based on the observations that I did in September. So when I closed her IEP last week, yes, I added that.
But
So
you
we
want to
can
kind
start-
of take her, like it's almost like start her and then, because I
Yes.
feel like she's capable of like doing it, but right now, I don't know if she was just distracted by the people she was around, and so I need to sit her maybe closer to the front or
Yeah.
that, but I don't know. I look at her test score, but I want to say she got like a 7 out of 10 or 6 out of 10 multiple choice.
Yeah, I'd rather take her out to begin
Mhm.
with. And then from there, we'll
Benefit
start
from
putting her in the classroom as soon as she's able to monitor her own
Yeah.
attention plan. That is one of her goals this year, is to redirect her attention to her specified task. So as soon as we start implementing those strategies for her, hopefully she'll start improving, and then we'll start having her in the classroom when she's tested. Awesome. So let's go ahead and move on to your unit for this year. So I know you're still on ancient Sumer, Mesopotamia. What is your essential question?
Alright, so for this unit, it is what is needed in order to have a successful civilization.
Awesome. Any skill prerequisites or gaps that we need to focus on?
So like annotation skills, any type of reading skills that they're learning. Inference skills, being able to infer based looking at pictures, because I do a lot of picture
Okay.
activities. And then the writing, because I'm gonna start. So I'm having them fill out a graphic organizer right now to prep for a compare and contrast essay that they're gonna do with Egypt. So they're pulling in. I guess this is another skill. They need to learn how to pull out evidence from like different texts. So like what I've been doing is like I give them about 10 minutes to work in groups to look past, like I give them assigned pages. I'm like, you need to pull out so many key facts under geography, under religion, under social classes, and then they have to put the name of the page number.
Okay, awesome. What type of differentiated instruction are you doing next week?
Let's see. I'll probably be doing stations.
Okay.
And just, I guess, pooling for small groups when I do, like, it's like whole group, like they have a thing, and I'll probably pull small groups to review the concepts before I move on to.
I know you also mentioned we're pre-teaching some of the concepts during lunch.
And after school. So
after school, I'm going to do, I'm going to repeat the directions to them. I'm going to repeat a lot for you, and I believe Rubalcaba is also starting a new unit, so I'm going to have to hold the small groups for that. So pre-teaching, I know you're modeling your content presentation. Did they fix your projector? No?
No, it's not going to be fixed till like Tuesday.
So what are you going to do?
I just been writing everything on the board.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine.
It works actually, it's only gets to like.
I know.
So part of me actually, I like it because I have more space. So it takes, I don't know, it's different. I think it slows me down too because I talk fast a lot.
Yeah.
So writing on the board, they told me this during student teacher to write more on the board so that but then it's easier to just put it on their doc, so it's hard.
I don't know, I saw Hector liking it when I was in your
The
competition.
board?
Yeah. He was like, ooh, I can see it now.
Yeah.
And I was like, what does that mean? It was when you were doing the table of content. That's what it was. And I said, what's the difference? I said, it's like this much bigger. And he was like, but it's in color. And I said, okay. So it was funny. I mean, Hector's funny. All right, so if we take a look at the schedule for next week, we have 3 lessons. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Lesson 1 will be 90 minutes, Lesson 2 will be 70 minutes, and Lesson 3 will be 40 minutes. Run me through your lessons. Let's start with Lesson 1.
Okay. For Lesson 1, I want to do like reading stations based on like what we've talked about and working with annotation skills. So
Are we starting with the do now?
Oh yeah, do now, Mad Minute. I'll probably do it. My thing is broken. So then I'll probably do a picture challenge.
Okay. So do now, Mad Minute, picture challenge, and then we're gonna head straight into the reading stations.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the reading stations will be focusing on like social classes.
Yeah, social classes, religion, government, geography.
Great. Okay.
Do the 70 minutes.
Lesson 2 will be 70 minutes. How are you starting it?
Alright, that's actually what I was going to ask you about. So I'm going to have them, the presentations and the posters that they're going to do, they didn't get time to present them.
Okay.
So it's, some of them, it's one of those like the rap battle, I really want them to present it. And then there's some like posters, I don't know, it's like, do I hold them like, kind of want to like do all the posters? Or do I do like, who wants to, or just because of time and stuff? What do you think?
So what else do you have planned for us?
So they're going to be learning about the inventions and like achievements of Matsumer. So there's going to be a brain pop video, and then this was what I was going to ask you. Last year, I've done a lot of ads already, so I want to change it up. Like irrigation ad, ice age ad. So I want to see maybe something else I can do. Last year I had them do like an ad of all the things that they'd like to purchase, like at a store. It's like a catalog kind of thing, but I think I want to change it up because I've done, I mean the kids have liked it in the past, but I don't know if it's like too repetitive from what I've been doing.
I think the ads that you have been doing though have been focused just on one specific thing. I mean, you can even talk to Rubalcaba about what unit she's going into next. I haven't met with her yet. Yeah. Or I can talk to her and then talk to you about it. But I was wondering if we can do some like cross-curricular connections. So if you had them do like a weekly ad, right?
Yeah.
If you brought in like a target ad